aim for excellence, not perfection. So I expect excellence in my business, and I want to put out quality information and content. I know that as designers, we want, a space or a project to feel complete and be done and down to the brass tacks, right? You want all of it done beautifully and perfectly. My encouragement for you in this arena is to aim for excellence, aim to be great, but know that perfect is just unattainable. Welcome to the Designer's Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Kate Bendewald, interior designer, mama, and CEO of a thriving interior design business built on authentic word-of-mouth referrals. It wasn't that long ago that I stepped away from my corporate architecture job to build my own dream, one that would allow me more time with the people that I love, the ability to serve my clients at the highest level, and to make a great living. It wasn't always easy, and I've made my share of mistakes along the way. Fast forward to today, and I've learned a thing or two. This podcast is for you, the inspired, creative, ambitious, and let's admit it, occasionally overwhelmed interior designer who shares this dream of transforming lives by transforming homes. Join me and my guest each week as we walk through practical ways to build an interior design business you love and helps you transform your clients' lives. You can do this. Thank you for letting me spend part of this day with you. Let's get to it. All right. Hi there. Welcome back to the Designer's Oasis podcast. This is your host, Kate Bendewald. I hope you are having an absolutely gorgeous day wherever you are, whatever you might be doing while you're listening or watching this episode. Today, we are talking about something that has been on my mind quite a bit lately, this idea of the perfectionist trap and how we find ourselves in it and how to get out of it. I am just really starting to realize that I have been a victim of the perfectionist trap and that it has slowed me down in so many ways. And so I really have been doing some reading and thinking about this. And I wanted to talk about it because I know that I can't be the only one who finds myself sort of feeling stuck or inadequate to do something because I'm afraid that it's not going to be perfect. So what I have found is that it really boils down to something pretty simple, at least for me. It's this idea that we are in a way exposed to these pain-free narratives of others that through social media or television or whatever, while simultaneously feeling acutely aware of or acutely feeling and experiencing our own struggles. And because they're happening at the same time, that's where we get this feeling of, I'm never going to be good enough, or I'm never going to be to that level, or whatever the case may be. So, again, it's for me, it has been driven a lot by comparing myself to what I see out there, to my muses or my inspiration or other people or ideas that I strive for, and just realizing that, they didn't get there overnight in the same way that I didn't get to where I am overnight. But sometimes we're just exposed to those kind of pain-free narratives, and that's not the full picture. So what I realized is that, getting to where you want to be isn't this pole vault, right? It's a set of stairs, and you're taking one imperfect step at a time. So maybe you find yourself struggling with overthinking things, overthinking everything, and simply not trusting yourself. So this is what can cause perfectionism to creep in and keep you stuck. There are a couple of different types of perfectionism that can show up, and it might not be the same for you. It can show up in different ways for different people. So one is this idea of product perfectionism, which is, as interior designers, we can maybe think about like pulling together a project for a client, right? It takes longer than expected because you haven't scoured every square inch of the internet, and you're sure that the perfect selection is still waiting on you. Can you relate to this? I know I've got my hand in the air. You can't make mistakes. You got to get it right. You've got to get it perfect. Process perfectionism. I used this example in a few episodes ago because it's one that's been creeping up in conversations inside the Designers Oasis membership, which is process perfectionism. An example that I use is using Dubsado. Dubsado is my favorite client onboarding tool, and used correctly, you can set up these workflows that are automated that allow your prospective clients to have this really graceful first experience with you, where everything is streamlined and automated, and it really takes a tremendous load off of your time when you have those workflows working right. But the challenge that a lot of the designers have mentioned is that they're afraid that they're not getting their workflows right, and that a client's going to get the wrong email, or it's going to get sent at the wrong time, or a link's not going to work, so on and so forth. All these things that are keeping them stuck. And the whole point of the software is that it keeps you from having to do manual tasks. So when they're not putting together these workflows, they're just individually sending out a proposal, an invoice, a contract. They're not leaning into the full value of the software. And this, so what I've been telling them is, first of all, people are going to be more graceful than you might realize. So what if they get something that maybe looks a little off? You just apologize for it, figure out what went wrong, and it's going to help you fix it. You may even want to put a little blurb at the end of your emails that say, hey, do this for a little bit. Hey, does something in this email look off? Let us know here. And then click a link to email you. But to just get those workflows going, and maybe you just start small, but this anxiety, procrastination connection starts to build because you're so afraid you don't have a process figured out entirely. And, Dubsado is just one example. There are all sorts of examples in terms of how we set up and organize our design processes that might make us feel stuck in a certain area. Hey, designer, are you tired of wasting precious time with prospective clients who are not a right fit? Do you experience imposter syndrome because the back end of your business is kind of a hot mess? Perhaps you're experiencing growing pains and you don't have the tools, resources, or team to support you. I get it. I've been there. As an ambitious interior design business owner myself, I know the roller coaster ride this can be. Over the years, I've learned a thing or two about running a profitable word of mouth design business, and I want to help you find success too. How would it feel to wake up and face the day knowing exactly what to focus on next, having a roster of enthusiastic clients, including a paid waitlist, and having the space, time, and creative energy to develop projects that you are proud of and are portfolio, if not press-worthy? I want to invite you to learn more about the Interior Designer's Business Blueprint, a business coaching program designed exclusively for interior designers who want to serve their clients at the highest level while making good money, but without the burnout and overwhelm. If you're ready to get off the roller coaster, you don't have to do it alone. Join me inside the Interior Designer's Business Blueprint and get the tools, teaching, and community you need to pave the way for an interior design business your clients love and you are proud of. To learn more, grab the link on your audio player or head to designersoasis.com/blueprint. That's designersoasis.com/blueprint. Another area is the comparison trap. And the comparison trap might show up in a way like this, where maybe you don't show your website. You're afraid to send people to your website because you're embarrassed of how it looks, or it's not perfect, or maybe you don't post on social media because you don't like how you look or sound. You're comparing yourself to everybody else out there, and so you're staying stuck. And I find this to be true for myself, but playing small, right? You're playing small because you are comparing yourself, when the reality is that you have a tremendous amount of potential, and you are. We're going to talk in a minute about a way to kind of combat that, but it's this idea that you're comparing yourself against people who maybe have been doing this for so much longer than you, and they certainly didn't get everything right straight out of the gate. So that's the comparison trap, as another perfectionist tendency that we need to be mindful of. And then there's also self-perfectionism. Maybe you pitched a project to Architectural Digest and they didn't pick it up. Maybe you wanted to win a design award. This idea that if you didn't get the lead, get the pitch, get the whatever, that it's all, for nothing, right? So does that mean you just stop pitching to all the magazines because it didn't get picked up by like this top level feature that you wanted? No, you can find other avenues to continue to showcase your work towards and try to get it published in a different magazine this time. So, so this is funny. Perfectionist over here, recovering perfectionist. I'm going to use my own use of ums in podcasting as an example. I don't make a habit of going back and listening to my podcast episodes because I don't like the way that I sound. And I did it recently, and I was so embarrassed by the number of ums that I heard myself say. And I was just like, that just sounds terrible. I shouldn't be podcasting, right? I just got into this mindset that I was doing it all wrong. and what if I just turned around and was like, that's it, I'm not going to podcast anymore because I can't stop saying ums. The reality is it made me aware of my this speaking tick that I basically have, and I think a lot of people have, especially when they're just kind of free flowing and talking. But I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to work on improving this. I'm going to work on, when I'm podcasting, trying to be more conscientious about my thoughts and my flows, and just taking a second to pause if I need to think about something. I also joined Toastmasters because Toastmasters is notorious. They have counters in there. So when you go to do your talks, they will count your ums. And there's this idea that you become aware of them. And the more you become aware of them, the easier it is to stop saying them. So, and then you just try to improve, like, based on your own baseline. So if in one 5-minute speech you said 10 ums, the next time you're going to want to get it down to like 5 ums or something like that. But the idea is that, like, there was a moment where I was just like, I shouldn't be podcasting, right? And that's just perfectionism at its worst. It's not a matter of you're not going to quit, right? You're just going to try to find ways to improve. Here's the tricky thing with perfectionism. It's a trap. It is a self-defeating cycle. You are hyper vigilant of how others are perceiving you and how you are performing. And this leads to burnout. And burnout feels like failure. So I'm going to say that again. It's this super vigilant, hyper vigilance of how you're being perceived and how you're performing. And it leads to burnout. And burnout feels like failure. You are trying to uphold an image of what you want people to see. and you tend to overdo it and never want to let go. The problem is this stifles creativity, right? If you're so stuck on getting things perfect all the time, creativity has no space to bloom and grow there. And you, my friend, as an interior designer by nature, are a creative individual. I believe everyone is creative. Some people are just more tapped into their creativity than not, but it can be cultivated in anyone. But as designers, we have a natural inclination towards creativity, but perfectionism is really a creativity destroyer. So if you are like me and you find yourself getting stuck or trapped in these perfectionist mental gymnastics, we're going to just talk about a couple of strategies that I've been working on myself and hoping that they make a difference. But the first one is clarifying the goal. So what is it that you're trying to achieve? Maybe it's that you are trying to get your proposals for your clients more accurate, right? So that you're sending out proposals that where you're not going on over on hours, or where you're coming in under budget with your hours, whatever the case may be. Clarifying the goal can just help you realize that this is just a series of little steps, and you've got to try stuff to see what works and what doesn't. There I go saying again. So just getting clear on the goal can kind of help whatever it is you're trying to work on feel more attainable. Right now, I'm working on putting together a new program for interior designers, and I'm working on this framework. And the ultimate goal is to get this course out, right? And just thinking about that feels really hard. It feels really far off. It feels like there's a million steps to get to that place where it's live and it's launched and people can access it. And when I sit and I clarify the goal, what I realize is, my goal right now is just to focus on getting this framework dialed in, right? And so then it feels like, okay, that's all I have to do right now. That's all I have to do right now. And then I'll get on with the next step and the next thing. And so you may have a lot of things that you're working on in your business and with clients. And if you can clarify the goal, it can help you to prioritize what is the one thing you need to be focused on right now. I think that's such a big part of overwhelm and burnout is we have competing goals and we're not sure how to prioritize things. So maybe you need to just get a notebook out and journal a little bit and think about what might be get clear on what that right next step is and just focus on that for now. The other thing is to aim for excellence, not perfection. So I expect excellence in my business, and I want to put out quality information and content. I know that as designers, we want, a space or a project to feel complete and be done and down to the brass tacks, right? You want all of it done beautifully and perfectly. And so my encouragement for you in this arena is to aim for excellence, aim to be great, but know that perfect is just unattainable. And I love this next thought is around this idea of measuring your excellence in terms of progress. How well are you moving toward your goals? And you're aiming to better your own personal best. So let me give you an example. In Designer's Oasis, in the membership, we have this program or this course, and I share this calculator that helps designers see their conversion rates. So how well are they converting website visitors into making booking a call? How good are you at getting quality leads out of those? What's your conversion rate for getting discovery calls to consultations and consultations to proposals and proposals accepted and new clients? And at each step of the way, there's kind of a conversion rate. And then there's a summary where you can see your whole conversion rate. To me, this is a key performance indicator in your business. And so I wanted to teach them this piece of it, teach them how to use these this conversion rate to help them understand how well they're doing in terms of these different milestones. And then if they see something falling off, they could say, oh, you know what? This is where I'm getting stuck and this is where I need to improve. So if a designer sees their conversion rate is hovering around 20%, they may make it a personal goal to now, this year I want to average 30% by the end of this or the middle of this year. Having some metrics, in place are, I think, a really great way to give yourself a baseline from which to improve. So there might be a number of ways that you're looking to improve. Conversion rates is a pretty straightforward one, but the idea is that you're measuring your success in terms of progress and how well are you moving towards your goal. And I think it's also important to take time not only to evaluate what opportunities exist for improvement, but also what you did well. So, yes, opportunities for improvement are going to be everywhere all the time, but making sure that you're building in time to say, hey, you know what? We nailed this last project, or that was an effortless presentation that we just gave our clients. Whatever the case may be, taking time to acknowledge what you've done well also. I just want to wrap up with this quote from an author. His name is Adam Grant, and I loved this. He says, he's by the way, a former competitive diver. So you can imagine from his perspective, excellence and perfection was pretty important as a diver and getting scored in that way. But this is what he says: the person you're competing against is your past self, and the bar you're raising is for your future self. And I just thought that beautifully summed up what it is we're talking about here today, in terms of, raising the bar, aiming for excellence, aiming for perfection, aiming for progress, and just identifying how well you're moving towards your goals and towards your own personal best. That de-emphasizes this idea of comparing ourselves to others, others that are also struggling, have struggled. We're not seeing that stuff on social media. We're not seeing it in the media at all. We're just seeing the end results. So realizing that the only thing we can really compare ourselves is where we are today and where we're headed, and using that as a tool to get unstuck and get out there, start getting your stuff out, start talking about what it is you do, start playing big, start aiming for those real juicy projects you really want to get your hands on, or the next league of clients that you're ready to serve, whatever the case may be. Just realizing that when you find yourself in this perfectionist trap, that you've got some tools to help you get unstuck and move ahead and make progress. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me on this little shorty episode. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and your week, and I will see you next time here on the Designer's Oasis podcast. Bye for now. Thank you so much for letting me spend part of this day with you. If you're loving this podcast, please share it with a friend who you think might also love it. Or perhaps you can take just 30 seconds to open your podcast app and leave us a 5-star rating. And if you have just an extra minute, go ahead and leave a review. This helps me so much, and it helps other designers like you to find the podcast. It also adds fuel to my motivation to keep making great episodes just for you. However you choose to help, please know I appreciate you so very much. Thank you, my friend. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.